Alright guys, so welcome back to Ultimate S&S. Today we're going to be doing a food prep video. So made a run out to the store the other day and I finally got this stuff vacuum sealed out. And just going to kind of show what we do here. So typically when I vacuum sealing, I try to do based off portions. So you can always add more, but this way I'm not letting anything go to waste. And you just vacuum seal these bags. So like we have our chickpeas over here. So this here should be a portion for say 2 people. I went ahead and did a portion of 4 with my pintos. And then everything else, that was basically because I was lazy and got tired of counting down, guys. But so then we have like our lima beans, our brown rice, and things like that. So I do have minute rice as well. I don't know how well it keeps. We're going to find out. I don't really open the boxes on those. It might be something I get into vacuum sealing that as well. But so basically this is kind of what I do when I'm prepping. We will be doing a lot of canning here in the future with quail meat and chicken meat and vegetables coming out of the garden. But this is to get started and to just kind of build a little bit of a stockpile. So people don't seem to understand that prepping is not just for say end of the world or shit hit the fan. It could be anything from a pandemic where you lose your job, but you have food back for your family. So as you're receiving those blessings earlier in your life, if you're setting some things back, it's going to get you through those hard times as well. So something I like to add to my preps is this time I added the Bigelow Raspberry Royal Black Tea. And this is a very sweet tea. It has flavored like raspberry. And it is basically just, something to give you that little extra boost of caffeine if you need it. I stockpile coffee and things like that as well, but this is what I really have been focusing on here lately is the teas. So it's a little healthier, they say, than say coffee, but it just really adds something to your prep. Now you can set back candies and things like that as well, but for me, the little caffeine that is in that tea plus a little sweetness to it as well, that really gives you that little boost of energy if you need something kind of sweet. And it's going to be a lot healthier than eating a handful of candy and things like that. So let's go through and show kind of what we've got here. So I'm not going to pull every little bag, but we're going to show, and I'm going to place these in my storage tote for now. So these are our lima beans. I've got a lot of lima beans. I love lima beans. Mix it up with some cornbread. Pintos. You got to have your pintos, guys. And these things, they have a lot of iron, and they're going to have a lot of fiber. So we have 3 pounds of the pintos. And this stuff has gotten pricey here lately. I mean, I used to be able to buy 3 pounds of pintos for like $1. And I don't know why things are so expensive here lately. But they really have gone up in price. So this here's my navy beans. I started putting them in smaller packs. And then finally I just put it in larger packs. Because usually when I make navy beans, I'm going to make a large crock pot. And it's going to have cornbread and things like that with it. Some more limas, more navy beans, our chickpeas. These are great. These are really nice. These you can take and you can saute them down. You can add them to your rice, and you want to cook them, but you don't want to make them mushy. You want to cook those down to where they still have a little bit of that crunch, and just add it to salads and stuff, guys. I mean, these are great. And then we've got some more of our navy beans. Quite a few more there. There's some more. You may be thinking you got a lot of beans and a lot of rice over here. Well, this is just from our haul, guys. So it would be really hard to get all of our preps actually on camera. It would fill these counter spaces up. So we got more of our chickpeas, and like I said, you can cook these down. You can make what they call a 15 bean soup, which is where you just add a little bit of everything, and those are really great. A lot more lima beans. Like I said, I love lima beans. Some people don't. I love them personally. Put a little salt on that. So more lima beans. And again, you're going to look to see what you can find that's for sale. I mean, like I say, you're getting a lot of iron. You're getting protein from these. So then we have our black-eyed peas. I could not find a large bag of these anywhere. I'm going to have to really start searching in the store because that's another one of my favorites. So then we just have the brown rice. Now you can do minute rice, instant rice, things like that. This is just this takes a little longer to cook. But I've noticed when you use, say, brown rice and anything that's not the minute rice, that it tends to go further. You know, there's a little bit more to this as far as substance. And we've got some more of our rice here. And this is going to really add to our prep. So everything I've showed there, for 2 people, that amount of food, you're looking at roughly a month. You can actually stretch that out further. That's about a month. I'm going to show you what I've got here, guys. So typically I try to fill one of these totes to the top, and I will call that a month prep for each one of these totes. And that's going to make it easier to store a lot of this stuff. Now, when you start getting into the canned goods and things like that, they take up a lot of space. You can vacuum seal these bags down. You can leave it in the original package if you wish. I think they're going to keep longer like this. But figure 12 of these totes, and you can add you some cans to the top or even the bottom and then layer on top, and you've got 1 month's supply of food for 2 people, pretty easy. Now, when you start figuring in, say, what we're doing with our livestock, we have our quail, we have the chickens and things like that. That's going to add sources of protein, not just from the eggs, but from the meat as well. And as they start to mature out, we're going to be butchering more birds this year, and we're going to be putting them into jars and pressure cooking them. And that's going to give us some extra protein to go with this stuff. So we're not just going to be sitting around eating rice and beans. We are going to be adding extra proteins to it as well. So when hunting season comes up, you know, a lot of people don't realize you can eat squirrel. They call it a tree rat. They're not technically a rat, but they're pretty much in the same family. But squirrel meat goes real good with any kind of stews that you want to do. Then you can do your deer hunting and things like that as well, your rabbit hunting and stuff like that. So again, guys, this raspberry royalty, I'm not getting paid money to say this. I add black tea with all different types of flavors to it. There's all kinds of flavors you can get. What I look for is a tea that does not have any artificial sweeteners, that it is a natural tea. So this is a black tea base, and then it has the raspberry leaves added to it, which is where it's getting its raspberry flavoring. So if you're looking for something, maybe you have kids, maybe you have a diabetic in your group, and they get them kind of like sweet cravings. Instead of stocking a bunch of sugar base, you can put something like this in there. And 1 cup of this is going to take that sweet tooth edge right off. So there it is, guys. That's kind of how I myself prep. Everybody has their own type of system they like, their own types of food that they like. I look for something that's going to be easy to move around. So this doesn't weigh a lot because it is a lot of dry goods. So I can actually throw that in a rucksack and move to a location if I need to. Pretty easy. I like to keep them inside the totes, and that way if I have to get into that for any reason. So like after Hurricane Michael, I've been prepping for quite a while. So after Hurricane Michael hit, the closest stores that was actually open where you could get anything were like 2 hours away over in the Funiac. And it was a very, very long trip with roads that were, you know, closed because of hazards and things like that. So it was nice because I've always kind of kept preps back. And that's the thing with prepping is people need to understand it is not just for end of the world scenarios. It is for a scenario that maybe you lose your job. Maybe something is happening and stores are starting to close around you. You know, maybe it's another pandemic that can hit. Anything that's going to keep food in your home for a longer period of time. Now, does people want to eat, you know, rice and beans and add some meat to that and things like that all the time? Well, no. But in a pinch, it's going to give you something to eat. Beans are great as far as proteins and irons and even fibers. So you're going to get a lot of the dietary stuff that you want in there. Now, if you need to add a little salt to that, hey, go for it. Now, I don't add sodium to anything. It was one of the hardest things to do was to get away from salt. Most of the stuff that I eat, if you buy canned goods, it's going to have sodium in it anyway. And look at the nutritional value. If you have to add, you always can, Personally, I've got where I like the natural flavors of food. It took a long time to get there. I try not to keep a lot of real sweet stuff in the house. And the reason for that is my dad and I are working together on this type of stuff, and he is diabetic, so I try not to keep a lot of sugars around, which helps take the temptation away from him. But I do keep things like the teas that have, say, raspberry, or even a honey stick. So you can get honey sticks. You can make honey sticks. If you have bees, you can keep a little jar of honey, and it takes just a little bit of honey mixed into a tea to add just enough sweetness to take that off, and it's going to be healthier for them than eating some sort of sugary snack. So that's something to think about, when you're figuring your preps. Is not just prepping for the future, but creating a sustainable lifestyle. And I hope that everyone's enjoyed this video. It's not something I do very often, but I might start, showing people what kind of prepping we do here as well. So you can get these totes, guys, and they're pretty, reasonable in price, $5-6 typically at Walmart. You can go to Goodwill. I'm not gonna lie, that's where I go, and get them $1 a piece. And if you're lucky, sometimes they have the lids still. And that's where I buy a lot of my totes and things like that. It's just go to Goodwill. They might have a crack or something in it, but that's perfectly fine with me. It's just a way to store it, keep a month's supply set back. And 12 totes, I have a year's supply of food back. And that's the way I do things. And then anything that you get, if you're raising birds, if you're raising pigs, if you're raising, whatever it is, guys, that's going to add to your preps. That's really going to help with your sustainability level and your prepping level. So I hope everyone has enjoyed the video. I'm going to get out of here. I got some stuff to do out. I've got the birds going out to the coop here tomorrow. So just make sure everything's prepared for that. Have a wonderful weekend.